Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Thank you all for tuning in to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Evan Worley, and happy Tuesday to everybody out there. You did it. You survived the holiday season. Now, if you are a kid and you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, what do you mean you survived the holiday season? When you're older, everybody, I would say over the age, I would say outside of college, understands when they say you survive the holiday season. Because once you're out of college and you're in the holiday season, or of the age, I should say, when you're out of college, it's hard. It is. It's very draining because you got to be on all the time. When you're a kid, people don't really expect anything from you. You know, you're just like, oh, hey, everybody's over. You can just kind of do whatever you want. And, you know, nobody really asks you any real deep questions or anything like that. They always ask you kind of like, you know, oh, how's school? How's this? Oh, that's great. And then they go back to what they were doing, and they do all the draining, like, political type questions with your family and everybody of age that actually should probably care about that. And, man, when you put up with that for multiple days, bruh, it is draining. I think after everybody left my parents' house and I stayed back for an extra day, man, I slept that day. I normally am up around like 7:45, 8 o'clock, and I think I slept till around 11 o'clock that next day, because it was just, man, it was so draining, all that fried food in you, all that kind of stuff. It was nuts. My holidays were pretty cool though. Like I said, I was up at my parents' place. We were able to have not everybody, but, you know, some people down there, and you know, we were able to have a pretty decent holiday. We didn't really do a ton of presents or anything like that. We just kind of sat around, watched sports, watched the basketball games on Christmas, watched the NFL game where Alvin Kamara had 6 flipping touchdowns, which was insane. You know, we had that, you know, college basketball. We had football on the day after, that incredible Tua and Fitzpatrick throw with the face mask. Like, that was nuts. So we just sat around, watched all that kind of stuff, watched Christmas movies, A Christmas Story, Jingle All the Way, which has become one of my favorites. And then, you know, like, just the claymation cartoons like Rudolph and Year Without a Santa Claus and all that kind of stuff. So, all in all, it was a pretty good holiday week. And finally, it might have had to be a Christmas miracle, but we finally got some news. We finally got some movement in the MLB, which was really, really nice for the first time in a long time. Because I feel like every episode I'm on here, and it's just like, oh, there's rumors about this, there's rumors about that. And yeah, we can talk about rumors, but something actually happened. It's kind of hard to come up here and talk nonstop about just rumors every single week, and I'm sure you guys don't care, because it's like, oh, another thing of rumors, like nothing's happened, like what am I going to listen to? I fall victim to the same thing. I'm legitimately just listening to stuff about basketball and football right now, because there's really nothing on the hot stove about baseball. It's just a dead period. You know, the winter meetings are normally a place where, you know, things started to happen, but that's just not the case anymore. Not necessarily. You know, winter meetings have become just kind of like a thing that happened now, which is a little annoying, because winter meetings used to be like a holiday for, you know, diehard baseball fans. But we did get some news. I'll start off. The big news I am not going to touch on until the next segment. And there's more news that came along with that just about 20 minutes ago that'll happen in a later segment. But we'll start off with talking about the Nationals acquiring Josh Bell from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So, the Nats have a vacancy at first base. They just do. Their first baseman candidates are not that great. I mean, Ryan Zimmerman's there, but I think they might be moving him around. Because I haven't heard anything about Ryan Zimmerman not leaving. If he's gone or something like that, or he's not coming back, or if he retired, somebody let me know because I haven't heard anything. But on Thursday, Thursday was Christmas Eve, right? Yeah, on Christmas Eve, they were acquiring Bell, the switch hitter for the Pirates. They sent back Will Crowe, who was ranked as Washington's number 3 overall prospect, and Eddie Yeen, who was their 6th prospect. So Jordan Bell had a mediocre season last year, which is, it's not fine, but it's understandable at least because of all the things that were going on. It was kind of up in the air. Pittsburgh wasn't great in 2019, but they were really not good this year. They don't really know what was to go ahead. Josh Bell could have done a lot better, but he had an off year right after coming off one of his best seasons. So in 2020 he had a 226 batting average, a 305 OPS, and a 364 slugging with a 669 OPS, 8 homers in 57 games. The Nationals are really hoping that he returns back to his 2019 form where he was an all-star and ranked in the top 10 top 10 in the National League in RBIs with 116. He was 6th. OPS plus at 142. He was 7th. He had 37 doubles, which was 8th. 37 homers, which is 9th. A 569 slugging percentage, which was 9th. And a 936 OPS, which was 10th in the National League. I don't think this does a lot. Let's just be fair. Josh Bell is good. He's not great. I don't think he's ever going to duplicate 2019 again. I think that the Bucks got him for a steal. They just dished him off. They got 2 big prospects. I really don't think he's going to return to form. Because even in that lineup, where are you going to hit him? If Ryan Zimmerman does come back and he's going to hit 4th. You got Juan Soto hitting 3rd. You got Carter Kieboom coming up. You have... do they still have Michael A. Taylor? I don't even know who's on the Nationals because they were pretty irrelevant last year. But and Howie Kendrick retired. So, they have some vacancies. Their lineup isn't really stellar. It's good, but it's not great. You can't you're not going to people aren't going to pitch more to Juan Soto because they're afraid we can either pitch to Soto or we can pitch to Josh Bell. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be more of the other way. So I would have them, as weird as it sounds, I would have Josh Bell hitting before Juan Soto. I would have Juan Soto probably hitting 4th while Bell hits 3rd. Just to try and, maybe get Bell some more strikes, more pitches in the zone that he can kind of, warm up to and kind of get his groove back maybe. Because if it works, it works. But if it doesn't, you probably move Soto up to 3rd, Zimmerman to 4th, and, Josh Bell down to 5th. Or if you want to do the Soto at 2nd, kind of sandwich them in between Soto at 2nd, Josh Bell at 3rd, and Zimmerman 4th. You can kind of work it. You can kind of work it like that. But I don't really expect much out of Josh Bell. I think the Bucks kind of got a steal for that. And speaking of the Bucks, some unfortunate news happened. So they confirmed the injury of Gregor Polanco through an email to reporters describing his injury as a small, non-displaced fracture of the triquetrum. triquetrum bone. I don't know what that is, but it was a forearm fracture. Gregory Polanco is, he was back home for the holidays back in, I think he was in the DR, if I'm not mistaken, and he broke his wrist, so it'll be immobilized for a short period of time and is expected to return and participate in full baseball activities by spring training. So it's not going to be anything that's too devastating for him. It's just kind of like a minor fracture, nothing crazy. And he came off hopefully this will make him work a little bit harder, I would say, to come back, because last year he had a pretty disappointing season. He hit 153 with a 214 on-base percentage and a 325 slugging with 7 homers and 22 RBIs in 50 games, which is horrible. He made his season debut on July 27th after he got COVID-19 in summer camp. So he was not doing too hot. And then, what is it? He also produced 197, 276, and a 342 slash line with 2 homers and 9 RBIs in 21 games with the Escondido in the DR League. I think that's the same league that Fernando Tatis is playing in right now. But yeah, so he's not producing at the plate even in the offseason in the DR League. He's doing actually worse in the DR League. Or he's doing a little bit better, my bad. So he's 197 batting average to a 153 batting average. That's just, in any league, that's not going to cut it. No matter what it is. There were times where Brandon Wood, a huge throwback if you want to go back to it. Brandon Wood, the old third baseman for the Los Angeles Angels, which was, touted as supposed to be, the savior of Angels baseball. The Angels had a run where they had third basemen that were getting compared to like MLB All-Stars that came up and couldn't hit above 200. It's been happening for forever, and it's still happening to this day. But Brandon Wood was a special case because he came up and he had a breakout, quote-unquote breakout season. And I think his career high batting average was 212. And then he ended up having a worse season playing in the independent ball leagues than he did in his worst year in the majors. I've never seen someone go from like the pros, like he was bad in the pros, but even bad in the pros kind of translates to like, if you can make it to the pros, you can probably dominate indie ball. And man, he could not do it. I think he hit sub 100. It was absolutely nuts. Irrelevant to any of this, but hopefully Gregory Polanco can bounce back and have a decent season. Hopefully he can bat above the Mendoza line, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a huge problem for him. Lastly, we have some movement with Japanese pitchers. So the Rangers signed Japanese right-hander Kohei Arihara to a 2-year deal. The Rangers see fitting in the middle of a young rotation with a number of starters who are going to be gaining experience. So they're planning on putting him in the middle of the rotation, having him as a starter. The manager, Chris Woodward, said the addition of Arihara to the rotation already includes Kyle Gibson and Jordan Lyles, could help make up for the loss of Lance Lynn, who was traded to the White Sox. Quote, "We are expecting him to throw innings and get deeper into some games, stabilize our rotation so it allows us to be more creative with the rest of our pitching staff." So they're going to be throwing him a lot, hoping that, he could be kind of an innings eater, more of a Darvish than a Yusei Kikuchi, which, it could go either way. We've seen it go either way. I've talked about, the Japanese pitcher, what's the word that I'm thinking of? The idea of what a Japanese pitcher really brings to a team. They really only give you about 2 to 3 really good seasons. Like, let's just be fair. And so hopefully that the Rangers are hoping that they could get, a couple seasons out of them. That would be pretty good. Obviously, it's a 2-year deal worth $6.2 million plus a $1.2 $2.24 million posting fee. He will receive $2.6 million in 2021, $3.6 million in 22, with another $500,000 in possible incentives. So the Rangers picked up a young Japanese starter. I think that's good. I think it's a good move for them because I don't think that they're going to be getting any other starter. Like, unless they're going to have to overpay if they want a decent starter. Like, let's just call a spade here. You're like, with the Texas Rangers and the fact that they really have no hope, they're going to have to get some guys that are on their last legs out of the league and hoping they can turn it around, kind of like the 2012 Pirates did with A.J. Burnett and Francisco Liriano. With A.J. Burnett came in, he was a steady 5.6 ERA, trying to figure out, he was on his way out of the league. He came to the Pirates, he posted a 4.7, or a 3, I think it was a 3.4. A 3.4 ERA, something like that. And then they bought him a few more years in the league, got him a couple more contracts, made him some more money when he was able to have more fun. Francisco Liriano was pretty much the same way. He was on his way out of the league, multiple Tommy Johns, couldn't really locate his slider anymore, and then the Pirates got in and did their big data baseball thing and, got him a few more gigs as a reliever. This is definitely something they're going to have to do. I don't think they're going to be getting anything else. They would, if they wanted a decent name to bring, to get butts in the seats whenever, the MLB is going to allow butts to be in the seats, they're going to have to overpay for a guy like Chris Archer. It is what it is. You're going to have to get a guy who has been pretty bad. You're probably going to have to overpay him, and you're going to have to just cross your fingers and hope that he comes in and actually does something that, is going to be of use and helpful to the franchise, which, I don't think you're really going to get right now. At least right now, unless you want to cross your fingers and really hope that it's going to happen. But at that point, you're just, you're in a hurry up and wait mode, which everybody has pretty much been in a hurry up and wait mode ever since shutdown happened. So what are we doing? Nobody wants to do it. It's not the best position to be in, especially if you're a franchise. And you don't want to bring up, because if you bring somebody up from the minor leagues too early, it could really mess with their confidence. It could mess up with their mechanics. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. So I think it's a good move. Getting the guy from Japan, it's going to fill in for a couple years. Hopefully, they'll bring in some more young guys and, be able to turn this around and be a competitive team in a couple years. I would like to see the Texas Rangers be competitive again. I think it was a lot of fun when they were. And, I think that, Kohei Arihara can give them the opportunity to be a competitive franchise again, hopefully, or at least point them in the right direction of becoming a competitive franchise. All right, everybody, I'm going to be taking a quick break, and I will be right back to talk about the big news over the weekend. Blake Snell is now a Friar.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, everybody, we are back. So, big news. You all know it by now. It is the biggest news that we've received all off season. Blake Snell is going to the Padres. So, the Padres get Blake Snell. The Tampa Bay Rays get Luis Patino, right-handed pitcher. They get another right-handed pitcher, Cole Wilcox. A catcher, Blake Hunt, and another catcher, Francisco Mejia. So, Blake Snells, we know, owns a 3.24 ERA across 5 seasons. He's a perfect fit for San Diego. The Padres, they need a little bit more rotation help after, Mike Clevenger got Tommy John last month. Lamet is probably going to be the opening day starter. That's my just guess, is Lamet's going to start off, but Snell's also going to be up there in consideration. The rotation also has Chris Paddock, Zach Davies, and a handful of other pitchers going for that 5 spot. I got other breaking news that could also be reported. But right now, competing for that 5th spot is the MLB's top overall pitching prospect, Mackenzie Gore. So the fact that they didn't have to give up Mackenzie Gore to get Blake Snell is incredible to me. If I was the Padres, or if I was the Rays, I would have sat down and said, I need Mackenzie Gore. Now, I'm not saying who they got were bad by any stretch of the imagination. They're not. They're very, very good pitchers. Patino is their number 3 overall prospect and number 23 in baseball overall. Wilcox is San Diego's number 7 prospect. He is a very, very good player. But it's Mackenzie Gore. It is the top prospect. You have Blake Snell for 3 full seasons of control. 3. You have him for 3 straight years, and that's if you can't, have an extension on top of that. Because if you treat him right, he will most likely stay. He's in San Diego. He's in probably one of the most beautiful cities in America. He's playing on a team that is young, that is energetic, that is competitive, and they are going after a World Series. Which, let's be real, the Rays were competing for World Series championships. Obviously, they were in contention to go to the World Series, but this wasn't long lasting. It was always, we're gonna, we have a window, let's shoot. We didn't hit the window, dang. All right, let's fall back. Let's fall back, which is what they did in 2008. They kind of shot their shot. They got close. They were like, oh, maybe let's try again. They couldn't get back, and then they were like, all right, David Price, you're out. Evan Longoria ended up leaving. I think they had Carl Crawford on their team. Carl Crawford was gone. A lot of their pieces were just dished off. And, they were just kind of stuck with it. Matt Garza was gone. Matt Moore, James Shields, all those guys, they were all gone. So this wasn't going to be a long-lasting competition for the Rays. So the Rays, it made sense that they were going to get rid of them, and they're going to get younger, and they're going to get cheaper because they're not a franchise that can afford a whole lot. And it makes sense. So, let's start off with Luis Patino. So Patino, like I said, the number 3 prospect for the San Diego Padres, number 23 in overall. He's a 21-year-old right-hander. He's projected to be as high as a number 2 starter. They don't see him as a full-blown ace, but a number 2 is pretty good. He had a pretty good season this year between Class A Advanced Lake Elsinore and Double A Amarillo in 2019. He posted a 2.57 ERA with 123 strikeouts over 94 and 2/3 innings. His fastball touches 99, and it touched 99 in 2019. Plus, he has a pretty sharp slider. It's a pretty strong combo against righties, and then he has a changeup that will serve him very well versus left-handed pitching, or left-handed batting. Sorry. And then let's go to Wilcox. So he fits the mold. Hard slider, pretty good changeup, very hard fastball. He fits the Rays. Wilcox, the number 7 prospect, was selected in the 3rd round of this year's draft in 2020 out of Georgia. He's said to have the best pure stuff in the 2020 class. He gave up 4 runs in 4 starts for Georgia in 2019, striking out 32 while only walking 2 batters in 2 seasons with the Padres after being... Okay, so that's the end of Wilcox. My bad. I went on a little too far. So, pretty good pitcher in college. We'll see, how he's able to fare in the minor leagues going forward. He has a lot of potential. When you say you have the best pure stuff in the game, if you're pairing him with the kind of pitching that the Tampa Bay Rays have, you can expect that he'll be up in the bigs in a couple years. I would say not next year, but maybe 2022 will be his range, 22, 23. He'll be up and he'll be making an impact, because if you have the good pure stuff and you have a system like the Tampa Bay Rays, you're going to be great. Like, it's plain and simple. You're going to be a great pitcher. There's really no avoiding it, because they're able to get so much out of their pitchers these days that it's kind of exciting. They have a type, hard fastball, good changer or good slider, and a pretty good changeup. All you need is 3 pitches for the Rays, and they'll mix and match and do whatever they want. So we'll see that. Francisco Mejia, he is in 2+ seasons with the Padres. He came over from the Indians in 2018 for Brad Hand and Adam Simber. He's 25. He's hit .229. He has a .282 on base and a .398 slugging in 116 games. He was the number 15 overall prospect at the time of the trade. So he does have pretty good potential. He does have very, very solid potential. So they're not getting a slouch. The Rays, they're trying to get some bat. Like, they're trying to get a bat in the catcher's hole, I would say. And they could do that. Let's go with Hunt. What was his first name again? Blake Hunt. I wanted to say Mark for some reason. But Blake Hunt, 22 years old. He's a number 14 prospect. He has a big arm, a very good pop time behind the plate. He still needs some time offensively, which most catchers do, but he has really good size to be a power hitter. He's 6'3", 215. He hits .255. He's got a .331 on base and a .381 slugging percentage. I really do like the on-base percentage being almost 100 points higher than the batting average. Shows that he has a pretty good eye behind the plate, or should I say at the plate, which, catchers should. You're developing, you're judging balls and strikes all day. I hope you'd be able to do that. But, I really do like that. I feel like he has the ability to grow as a hitter. He could be somebody in the next few years who comes up and is, I wouldn't say a plus hitter, but I would say, around 260, 275, someone who can, be productive at the plate, I should say, because a lot of catchers, let's be fair, aren't. So we'll see. He had 5 homers in 89 games in Class A Fort Wayne in 2019. It's a pretty big package that they sent, especially with the prospects, because all of these guys, they have insane potential. And a team like the Rays, who are incredible at developing potential, they're set up. They're set up for the future as well as set up for the now. I don't know how good they will be now, because there's a few questions that, are really, that have jumped to the forefront about what's going to happen next year. It definitely brings a new kind of buzz, a new excitement to the league, because, let's jump right to it. So, who's going to be the best in the West? The Dodgers have won 8 straight division titles. They completely have dominated the decade. Like, let's just be real. They lost. The Giants won a couple World Series. They won 3, I think, World Series in that decade. But, the Dodgers won the division title every year, proving that, they played a little bit better. Now the Giants just got hot at the right time. But the Dodgers were there. They were ready. They made it to the World Series three times in, the last 4 years. So who's going to knock them off? They're definitely set up to continue that success. They have a number of free agents this year. Justin Turner, Jock Peterson, Kike Hernandez, Blake Trinan, Jake McGee from the 2020 roster. But the core club's going to be back. The core club, Bueller, Kershaw, Bellinger, Betts, all these guys are coming back. And they're going to be ready to compete for another championship. So who's going to come up right behind him? Now let's check this out with the full line. Now I'm going to I'm going to break this news right now because it's something that we should go over. The Padres are going after Yu Darvish. There was a report that was released about an hour ago that's saying that the Padres aren't done. They're going after Yu Darvish hard, and they want Yu Darvish in the starting rotation. So let's go back to what the projected starting rotation was going to be. Take Zach Davies out. So now you have Lamet. Let's consider Clevenger healthy. Let's just start off blanket 2022. Just say 2022, they work out a deal for Yu Darvish, and they sign him to an extension. They get everybody back, everybody's healthy. You're looking at a starting rotation with Lamet, Snell, Clevenger, Chris Paddock, Yu Darvish, and possibly Mackenzie Gore if they don't have to give him up. If they're able to trade for Yu Darvish and Blake Snell without giving up Mackenzie Gore, it's going to be something like Padres fans should throw a parade. They should throw an entire parade because that's going to be the greatest GMing of all time. Getting 2 Cy Young quality pitchers without giving up your number one pitching prospect is I can't wrap my head around it. So Mackenzie Gore could possibly be on the move along with Zach Davies to get Yu Darvish, which would be nuts. But see, you think about it like this. Is that along with their lineup, and I'll get to who they also got another signee who's supposed to, take the world by storm. I'll mention that in the next segment. But, with that lineup against the Dodgers lineup and the pitching that they have and the bullpen that they have and everything that they have going for them and the young, the vibrant energy, that kind of, come beat us attitude, I think the Padres can win the division next season. I do. I think the Dodgers can win. Dodgers can go from winning the World Series to not even winning the division next season because the Padres are here. They're here and they're here to stay. And they looking like a great franchise. I am excited. I hope Manny Machado comes in, and I hope he is just as, angry and ready for an MVP as possible. Tatis is going to be in there. I hope this team stays as healthy as possible because they are going for it. Another question that arises, it was only 5 weeks ago that the news broke that, the Rays are even willing to trade Snell. So what else is going to happen for the market? Now that Snell is gone to San Diego, are other teams in the NL going to be pushing for stuff? With that in mind, we already said that, they're going after Darvish. What is going to happen to Sonny Gray? What's going to happen to Luis Castillo? Where are they going to go? I think this is the first domino on the market, and other pieces are just going to start to fall into place. I think this was the move, and other trades are going to happen because other teams who are competing are like, all right, let's get this stuff done. Maybe the Dodgers were waiting. Until to see what the Padres were going to do before they go out and they get Gray, Castillo, a Trevor Bauer, one of those names. It could possibly happen. I think it's really going to put everything into perspective, and dominoes are going to start to fall. We're finally going to start getting news, day after day of, big moves going on. Because if you think about it, we're 2 months away. We are less than 90 days away. Or less, I think we're 60 days away until pitchers and catchers report. because they report at the end of February, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then spring training starts, like the first or second week of March, right? Either way, we're getting close. So things got to start falling into place, and I think this is going to be the first thing that's going to, really set the market on fire. And then lastly, who's the front runner in the AL East? It has to be the Yankees now. Right? Because Tampa's lost Kevin Kiermaier, Blake Snell, Charlie Morton. The Yankees and the Blue Jays are getting stronger, and the Rays are giving up players. Now, I don't think they were good enough to be able to give up those type of guys and, come out and still be like, hey, we're competing for a World Series. No, you're not doing it. You've completely given up on a World Series chance. Like, let's be fair. So if you're giving up on the World Series chance, or even competing for the division at this point, and even if you aren't competing, even if you say, you're giving up those people to save money, but you're still competing, can you compete with this team? I don't think so. I think the Yankees are back as front runners. I think the Blue Jays have a stranglehold on second place. I see this Tampa Bay team, as we get closer and, news starts to break and we'll see what happens with the Tampa Bay Rays roster, they could actually be, a contender for second place. Baltimore seems to be last. I see Boston going in fourth. So I see this as really a two-team race. Maybe the Rays can get sneaky hot and do what they do, but if that's the case, I really don't see that happening. I feel like this is a two-team race, and I feel like the Yankees, once again, have a stranglehold on top of the AL East. All right, everyone, I am going to be taking my second break, and I will be right back to talk more news about the San Diego Padres, because we need to take a break just a little bit before we get to another signing for someone who's going to be in the San Diego infield alongside Tatis and Machado. But right before we get to that, I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Alrighty, everybody, we are back. So I just mentioned about how the Padres got Blake Snell, and they're going after Yu Darvish. Pretty big moves to make the pitching rotation amazing, right? So you have the pitching rotation. You got Tatis. You got, Jake Cronenworth. You got Will Myers, who seemed to, have some sort of rejuvenation. You have Eric Hosmer. You got Manny Machado, a lot of guys, right? So you'd think, like, okay, this lineup's looking pretty good. They're probably, are they done? Are they just going after pitching? Wrong. They are going after just pitching. They signed Ha Sung Kim, who played shortstop and third base for the Kaiwoon Heroes of the KBO. They signed him to a deal that was, they were currently in negotiation battles with the Toronto Blue Jays was reported as one of the teams. There were a few other teams that were going after him. It's wild to think that, or actually, no, we have the other teams. Sorry, I'm dumb. So it was the Blue Jays, the Padres, the Rangers, the Red Sox, the Cardinals, and the Giants were all going after Ha-Seong Kim. Now, that would mean that Jake Cronenworth is going to the outfield. That's a given because Eric Hosmer's not going to the outfield. Tatis definitely is not going to the outfield, and Machado is also not going to the outfield. And then Ha-Seong Kim, who played shortstop and third base, is most likely going to be going to second base. He is 25 years old. He had a insane year in 2020. He had 306. He had 30 homers, 23 steals, 109 RBIs. He had a 9.21 OPS in 138 games. He is a career 294 hitter with 133 home runs. This kid has 133 home runs, and he's only 25. He has 134 bags stolen, and he's only 25. And an 866 OPS in 891 games in 7 seasons in the KBO. This kid is electric. And the fact that you're going to pair this guy with Tatis, Machado, Cronenworth, Hosmer, and that electric pitching staff, I mean, come on. This lineup is going to be insane. Could you imagine if this guy's probably batting second in your lineup, maybe even maybe leadoff? Like, where are you going to put him in this lineup? If you have him leading off and he can get 30 dingers and 23 steals and 109 RBIs, that is nasty. He's been playing professional baseball for the past 7 years. In 7 seasons, he has 133 career homers. Now, you'd think about it and you'd be like, well, 7 seasons not that great, but he started at 18 years old playing professional baseball. That's crazy. That's crazy. And honestly, this guy might be the best foreign, I would say, the best Japanese offensive position player, I should say, since Ichiro, I would say. With these kind of numbers, if he puts up anything like this, have we had anybody who has been this offensively dominant? Maybe Hideki Matsui, but, Shohei Ohtani has not been, he's not put up anything like this. Granted that this is in the KBO and he has to come over to the MLB, so you have to expect, 30 homers will probably go down to around 20. 23 steals, speed translates. 109 RBIs will probably go down to 70, 80. The 921 OPS will probably be around the 800, low 800 ranges. That just makes a lot of sense. But even with that translating, if he even puts up those kind of numbers, he's probably going to be the best offensive player since Ichiro. Or even, I would say, third, because people forget how nasty Hideki Matsui was. Matsui was crazy good. He had that weird, falling out swing that every, Japanese player does, and he was just launching balls. He was a key point of, the 2009, it was, Yankees who won the title. Hideki Matsui, a part of the 2000 Yankees, was the man. And he had the opportunity to do, not the opportunity, but he cashed in on doing big things in the MLB for the Yankees. And, there were times where it was okay, Sheffield couldn't do anything, Giambi couldn't do anything, A-Rod couldn't do anything, but guess who comes up with the clutch hit? It's Hideki Matsui. So on top of all that, you want to see, I want to see him do well. I want to see him come into the league. One guy that I really thought was going to be really, really good when he came to the league was Jung-Ho Kang of the Pittsburgh Pirates. But he had his little incidents and, his injuries, and it kept him off the field. And, he's kind of been an afterthought in the league ever since. But when he came in, he had that one good season. And once again, that doesn't really help the stigma of, the Japanese-born players. There's only been a couple that have been successful for as significant period of time. But we'll see, man. This Ha-Sung Kim, if you put him, that lineup's going to be freaking deadly, dude. That lineup's going to be so deadly. Because if you think about it like this, you can have Jay Cronenworth batting first, him batting second, or vice versa. Then you can have Tatis batting third. You can have Machado batting fourth. You have Hosmer batting fifth. You have Will Myers batting sixth. And then, you got the rest of the lineup filling out from there. Because I don't remember who they have in the corners of the outfield right now. But, that's a dense lineup, man. That is a dense lineup. It's not as dense as, the Los Angeles Dodgers or the Yankees by any stretch. But that's a pretty solid lineup. I would put that lineup against most teams in the MLB, and I'm sure that lineup will most likely win. Even against my Braves, I would say that the Padres have a better lineup. Maybe that's me being humble. Maybe I just like to put ourselves as the underdogs. Maybe I like to knock myself down early. So when we eventually lose and my heart gets broken, it's not fully broken because my heart was broken before the season started. That is how you remain happy before after seasons. So you look at it, you're like, man, this team's really good. Full heart. But then you start pulling it apart little by little, getting that tear right down the middle towards like, oh, they'll mess up. It's fine. Oh, we're losing? Yeah, I expected all that. And then at the end of the season where you're finally out and you just want to die, you just rip that little last hanging piece of the heart right in half. Season over. But instead of it being a full-blown heartbreak, it was just a little bit. It was the final straw. Just bink. Done. Doesn't hurt as much. Start doing that, guys. Trust me, it does help. But anyways, pretty good to see that, the Padres are going after everybody. I wonder, what else they're going to do. On December 27th, there's another headline for a Japanese pitcher, Tomoyuki Sugano, to sign. The deadline is January 7th. So he has to sign by January 7th, which gives him 2 weeks. He still has 5 suitors. It's pretty much the same. Blue Jays, Padres, Giants, Mets, Red Sox. They're all in pursuit of Sugano. He had a 1.97 ERA in 20 games for the Yomiuri Giants and the Nippon Professional Baseball League of 2020. Now, a real big question on top of that is, how is Arihara's signing going to impact Sugano's market now? Because with Arihara signing, Sugano is the next Japanese pitcher in line to get picked up. The Padres, they're going to be looking for, they said that they were looking for Yu Darvish, so they're obviously looking for more rotation help. Maybe they can get him and put him in the bullpen. Put Sugano in the bullpen as like a late reliever type guy just in case one of these pitchers comes in and has a real clunker and they don't have to really burn through their entire bullpen in a game. Who's going to want him more? I can see Sugano going to the Blue Jays because the Blue Jays haven't made a ton of progress besides Robbie Ray in fixing their starting rotation, which kind of needs some help. The Giants, this is a total Giants move going after a star pitcher in another country, bringing them over and just kind of seeing what they got. I could see the Giants boosting up their pitching any way they can. You have, let's see who else was on here. The Red Sox. I don't see the Red Sox getting Sugano. I really don't. Yeah, they had success with Matsuzaka for a few years. They had success with who was their closer during that World Series here? Uehara? He was their closer when they had Uehara was amazing. But when he was on, he was on, and when he was off, he was horrible. And, I don't think they're going to test it again. I don't think they're going to overpay for him again. I really don't think that it's going to, really be one of those things where they just keep, cycling over them. I see it, the Mets, I think the Mets are too busy going after big names than go after guys like, Suganu. I don't think that they're going to go after him. I don't think they're going to sign him, that is, because I think that they're more focused on getting guys that are, really going for it, that are really like in, the United States, that'll put them into a position that'll win a World Series next season. I don't think that they have a chance in to win the World Series next year, but they're going for it as if they do, which is admirable, but also kind of dumb because I don't think they have a chance. I think this is strictly down to the Blue Jays and the Giants. I do think the Giants have, they have more money to spend than the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are more in a win now type of thing, and, they're not going to risk it for, it's just another guy who could be a project. You never know what you're getting when you're getting a prospect from overseas that have come from an overseas professional league out to, the major leagues. You don't really know what you're going to get. You can strike gold with an Ichiro. You can strike gold with a, Dice K. But, or a Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish was gold for about three seasons. Dice K was good for like 2. Ichiro was obviously had the longevity. He played for almost 2 decades. But yeah, I think that this is more of a rebuilder's move than a compete now move. So I don't expect Sugano to go to, the Padres or the Mets. I don't think the Red Sox are going to go after him because they're going to have to pay him. And the Red Sox do not seem like they are in a position or they really do want to pay anyone. So I feel like this is more of a Giants type of deal. I could be wrong, but we will find out by January 7th. And I will not be taking note of this because as soon as this episode ends, you're going to forget all about it. And when the next episode comes on, after he signs a deal, I'll just say I was right. And none of you guys are going to remember. That is the beauty of sports podcasting. All right, everybody. I'm going to be taking my final break, and I will be right back to talk about probably, I would say, most people's favorite subject in sports, goofy uniforms.
Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Alrighty, we are back. So, goofy uniforms, right? There really isn't much to talk about besides the San Diego Padres, because they're the only ones making moves right now, as we all are well aware of. So I was looking at it, and I was like, man, let's think about some goofy jerseys. I was on MLB.com, and, I saw an article for goofy jerseys. And I was like, oh, this is sick. This is absolutely what I wanted. So I'm on this article right now. And all these jerseys are Googleable. Like how I just created a word, Googleable. But, you can search them into Google and look at exactly what I'm looking at. Let's first start off with this. The A's California Sun uniforms. These are the most horrible things I've ever seen in my life. Now, I love the Oakland A's uniforms. I love the Kelly Greens. I love everything that I love almost every uniform that they have, but these are atrocious. First of all, the only thing that's good about these are the stirrups. I'm a huge stirrup guy. I love the 3-stripe stirrups. I just love stirrups. Stirrups and high pants look great together. But here's the thing. Baseball, and some people can argue with me on this. I don't care what your opinion is. If you disagree, you're wrong. I am right. Baseball pants should be 2 colors. White and gray. That's it. White at home, gray on the road. Don't wear anything other than that. No uniform combo looks good when you are the same colored pant as jersey. They don't look good. None of them. The Texas Rangers look goofy in their powder blues. They just do. Sue me. You know what looks better in powder blue? The Royals. Because they wear them with white pants. You can't argue with me on this. They look so much better with white pants. These guys have mustard uniforms, mustard pants. And also, another thing, whoever thought that sleeveless jerseys were a good idea, never think ever again. Sleeveless uniforms are horrible. They're all ugly. You know what makes the Colorado Rockies uniforms better? Sleeves. You know what makes the Cincinnati Reds uniforms better? Sleeves. Have sleeves. It's really not that hard. White pants, gray pants, sleeves. That's it. If you can do any combination with it. As I'll tell you later in the show, you can put a taco on the front of it and it will look good. Don't go with crazy colored pants. We don't need it. We're not a softball team. This is baseball. Leave that goofy stuff to the high schools. But yeah, horrible. The all green was a better look. There's a shot of 1973 where they wore the all green. Once again, don't like the green pants, but it looks fine, I guess. Another team, there's a minor league team, the Denver Bears. They had a really weird uniform. It's called the Strike Zone Unis. They're like above the letters. It's navy blue. Below the letters, it's white. It's just a stripe in the middle of it. It looks gross. No one should ever have worn those ever in life. They were from the 50s, so it doesn't really matter. Another one I didn't like was the Diamondbacks. But I'm not talking about the cool teal and purple Diamondbacks. Those were awesome. They should go back to those and wear them full time because those jerseys were sick with the pinstripes. They were awesome. I'm talking about their like Sedonia red alternate jerseys. I hated those. The Sedonia red and teal jerseys where they were flat gray with the red numbers or the red outline numbers and the teal outline on the uniforms. It looked goofy. Those all sucked. Those were some of the worst jerseys ever. Don't ever wear those again. Another thing, the Giants back in the 1916, they had a checkerboard, a plaid jersey with purple stripes in 1916. Look them up. They actually look not bad by 1916 standards. They don't look great by today's standards, that's for sure. But they look okay. I would wear that. I'm kind of a goofy guy, though. But yeah, I would wear that 100%. Purple checkered, I'm all for it. Bring them back. We got a few more on here. So there's the Fresno Grizzlies minor league team. I like the minor leagues. I like how goofy they are. I like how they really go for it. The Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. They started playing as the Bacon in 2014, which was weird. But right here we're talking about the tacos. So the Fresno put out tacos jerseys. One is bad. The two black ones are bad. I would say that. The two all black jerseys are bad, very. But then if you look at it, there's one that's kind of like the Houston Astros back in the day, where it has the pinstripes, or not the pinstripes, but it has the horizontal stripes at the bottom with dark green, light green, orange, and red, with a taco on the front. I think that looked really cool. And then they have kind of a not an old English, but they have some kind of a cursive font on there with the tacos in the green, red, and white. I thought that was a cool look. Those look sick. I would definitely wear those. Another reason why people should not wear the same colored pants as their uniform. The Notre Dame baseball uniforms. Notre Dame and their Kelly Green baseball uniforms look weird. The tops look great. Wear white pants. If you wear white pants with that and some stirrups, you look saucy. And I'm saying absolutely saucy. One of the best uniforms in college baseball. Just wear white pants with high tops and with stirrups, I should say, with, the vertical stripes on them, or the horizontal stripes, and you look incredible with the gold helmets and the shamrock on the front. Notre Dame, the Under Armour, get me in the design room. I could design incredible uniforms for these teams, but instead you want to go crazy and do some really goofy stuff and make them look dumb. You already made NCAA baseball fields look stupid, being all turf, and even having like brown turf instead of actual dirt. Like, college baseball already, to me, is borderline unwatchable because the fields make me so violently angry. Watching Louisville play, I would rather watch anything else than watch Louisville play baseball on their home field. I get violent when I see that. Play on a normal field. You have the upkeep for football. You have the upkeep for basketball. You have the upkeep for every other sport. Even swimming, you have to put in some kind of effort for the pool. Like, just get somebody who can mow grass and make sure dirt is even. It's a Division I college. Figure it out. Anyways, rant over about that. Those jerseys suck. Give me white pants. Give me some stirrups. Make them 100 times better. Let's go to the Orioles. Orange Dream uniforms. Now, these only suck because they have orange pants. Give them white pants and they're incredible. I love these. The bright orange jerseys, I think they look amazing. They look vintage. It's just the pants that make them look dumb. The hat's even cool. Like, the Orioles have black and orange, a phenomenal color combination. They have one of the best throwback logos in all of sports. The Orioles just looks good. It looks so good in the script that they have. It's just the one thing that's bad about these uniforms is the orange pants. That's it. They look incredible otherwise. Phillies, the big grape uniforms, those are just horrible. It's the major throwback where it's like the wine-colored everything, and made famous by Andrew McCutcheon walking out with his jersey unbuttoned down to his belly button and looking like an Irish mobster, or an Italian mobster, I should say. But, yeah, those are just ugly. The tops are fine. I'm hard-pressed to even say they're fine. I don't like the single P. I don't think those are great. Yeah, those are bad. Every time, the more I look at them, I'm just like, those are just ugly. The hats are cool. I would wear the hat, but I wouldn't wear the jersey. Those are horrible. Let's see. Pirates. The Pirates get a lot of hate. The hat's ugly. The hat's the worst. It's the Pirates endless combinations. They just say endless combinations on here. The Pirates with the pinstripes, those are ugly. The yellow and the black jerseys are fine. Just put them with white pants. I can't get over this. So many of these jerseys suck because they have white pants. Now, okay, the Rays, they're called the faux backs. They're the baby blues with the yellow sleeves. And, I mean, you just have to Google these for your own point of reference. These are the worst jerseys of all time. Google them for yourself. The Rays faux backs, F-A-U-X backs. Those are horrible. Navy socks, teal powder blue pants, powder blue jersey, yellow sleeves. Horrible. Those are some of the worst I've ever seen in my life. Almost as, I mean, even the Chicago with the shorts is better than that. I think we have to end on that. Those are, whoever thought of those, burn them as fast as you possibly can. That I can't get my eyes off them. Oh my God, they're horrible. Those are okay. All right, we got to go. All right, everybody, that's going to be our show. I will be back on Friday with a new episode. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your families, and be sure to enjoy. I guess your week. Enjoy your week, I guess. Enjoy your time before New Year's, your last minutes of 2020, I guess. You can follow me on Instagram at EvanWorley23. You can play me in tap baseball if you're bored. The nickname is EvanWorley23, and I would like to thank you all for listening to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask you to please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review because it really helps us out. And also, if you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you all, and have a great night.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.